The whistle of Mayberry's theme still echoes across generations, carrying with it the promise of small-town charm and simple joys for millions of Americans. The Andy Griffith Show was more than just television. It was comfort, laughter, and the feeling that life could always be a little kinder. Yet behind those black and white smiles lay untold stories, private struggles, and shocking truths that the cameras never revealed. Andy, Barney, Aunt Bee, Opie, together they became symbols of innocence and decency. But off-screen, the cast lived very real lives filled with tension, heartbreak, and choices that would forever shape their legacy. What you're about to discover isn't just trivia. It's the hidden history that makes Mayberry's myth all the more meaningful. Today, we're uncovering 7 shocking facts about Andy Griffith and his beloved cast secrets that may change the way you see this timeless classic forever. Fact number 1. Andy and Aunt Bee didn't get along off-screen on-screen. Sheriff Andy Taylor and Aunt Bee seemed inseparable. She bustled around the Taylor home, fussed over Opie, and kept Andy grounded with her gentle presence. To millions of viewers, their bond felt like family itself. But behind the cameras, the reality was very different. Frances Bavier, the actress who played Aunt Bee, was known to be intensely private and sometimes difficult to work with. Andy Griffith himself admitted years later that their relationship was strained for much of the show's run. They rarely spoke outside of filming, and the warmth we saw on television often came only when the director called action. The most shocking part, it wasn't until Frances was gravely ill, near the end of her life, that Andy reached out. In those final days, the two finally reconciled, closing a chapter of distance that had lasted for decades. Why it shocks the chemistry between Andy and Aunt Bee was so convincing. Fans could hardly imagine that the closeness was only an illusion. Their on-screen love masked years of silence, reminding us that even the most perfect families on TV carried unseen struggles. Fact number 2. Don Knotts thought the show would only last 1 season. It's hard to imagine Mayberry without Barney Fife, the nervous deputy with a single bullet and an endless supply of laughs. Yet the shocking truth is that Don Knotts himself never planned to stay. When he signed on in 1960, he believed the Andy Griffith Show would be nothing more than a 1-season experiment, convinced the series wouldn't last. Knotts quickly accepted a deal with Universal Pictures. By the time it became clear that Mayberry was a hit destined for years on the air, his new contract obligations made it impossible for him to remain a permanent fixture. Even Andy later admitted he regretted not fighting harder to keep Don at his side full-time. The result was bittersweet. Knotts did return for guest appearances, and his legacy as Barney Fife was secured with 5 Emmy Awards. Still, his unexpected departure left fans longing for more of the duo that defined the heart of Mayberry. Why it shocks one of television's greatest partnerships almost ended before it truly began, all because Don Knotts thought the show was destined to fade after a single season. Fact number 3. Andy Griffith wasn't always the easygoing sheriff he played to audiences. Andy Taylor was the picture of calm, a small-town sheriff who solved problems with wisdom, patience, and a gentle smile. But behind the scenes, Andy Griffith was far more complicated. Co-stars and crew often described him as a perfectionist, someone who wanted every line, every gesture, and every beat of the show to feel authentic. That intensity sometimes boiled over. When filming stalled or mistakes piled up, Andy could lose his temper. Don Knotts once admitted that Griffith's frustration could fill the set with tension, leaving younger cast members nervous. At times, Andy seemed worlds away from the laid-back father figure America adored. And yet, there was another side. Those who worked with him also remembered his fierce loyalty and kindness once the anger passed. Andy looked out for his cast, defended them against network pressure, and protected the heart of the show. Why it shocks fans believed Andy Taylor and Andy Griffith were one and the same. The truth is more human and perhaps more meaningful. He wasn't just playing a leader on screen. He carried the weight of being one in real life. Flaws and all. Fact number 4. Andy's secret romance with Annetta Corsott. Helen Crump on screen. The romance between Sheriff Andy Taylor and schoolteacher Helen Crump was tender and understated. Their relationship developed slowly, marked by shy smiles and quiet conversations on the front porch. It fit perfectly into Mayberry's wholesome world. But behind the scenes, the story was far less innocent. Andy Griffith and Annetta Corsott shared a real-life romance that reportedly began during the show's production. Though Andy was married at the time, the two carried on a passionate relationship that lasted for years. Cast and crew members knew about it. But in an era of carefully managed Hollywood images, the secret never made its way into headlines. The affair added a layer of tension to the set, but also explained the natural chemistry between Andy and Annetta on screen. Their affection wasn't just acting, it reflected a connection that extended beyond the cameras. Why it shocks fans saw Andy and Helen as the perfect small-town couple. Few realized that their TV love story was fueled by a real-life romance that was hidden from the public eye. A secret that complicated the show's carefully crafted, family-friendly image. Fact number 5. Ron Howard was nearly replaced after the first season. For millions of fans, Ron Howard will always be Opie Taylor, the wide-eyed boy whose simple questions often brought out Sheriff Taylor's deepest wisdom. But in a twist few viewers know, Opie almost didn't survive past the show's first season. Some CBS executives felt Ron was too quiet, too understated for television. They wanted a more expressive child actor, someone who could deliver bigger laughs and more obvious emotion. To them, Ron's natural subtlety was a weakness, not a strength. Andy Griffith thought otherwise. He saw something genuine in Ron's quiet performance, something that gave Mayberry its heart. Andy fought hard to keep him, pushing back against the network's pressure. His faith paid off. Ron grew into one of the most beloved child actors of his generation, and eventually became an Academy Award-winning director. Why it shocks the father-son bond between Andy and Opie is the soul of the Andy Griffith Show. Yet that heartwarming relationship was almost dismantled before it truly began, saved only by Andy's determination to protect a young actor he believed in. Fact number 6. Jack Dodson. Howard Sprague was a Shakespearean actor. To most fans, Howard Sprague will forever be remembered as Mayberry's awkward, bookish mama's boy, a character who brought gentle humor with every nervous glance and hesitant word. His mannerisms were so convincingly timid that it's hard to picture him as anything else. But behind the role was a man with a far different background. Jack Dodson, the actor who played Howard, was a classically trained stage performer. Before setting foot in Mayberry, he had spent years in the world of serious theater, performing Shakespeare on stage with skill and command. In fact, Andy Griffith himself first noticed Dodson during a production of Twelfth Night and was so impressed that he personally invited him to audition for the Andy Griffith Show. It's a remarkable contrast. The same man who once delivered Shakespeare's soaring lines became a master of awkward pauses and comedic silences. That transformation showed just how versatile Dodson truly was. Why it shocks one of Mayberry's most timid, quirky characters came straight from the world of Elizabethan drama. The actor behind Howard Sprague was no small-town clerk. He was a Shakespearean craftsman hiding in plain sight. Fact number 7. Andy's favorite episode wasn't the fans' favorite across 249 episodes. Fans of the Andy Griffith Show have their own cherished picks, usually the heartfelt stories about family, friendship, or Mayberry's gentle wisdom. But Andy Griffith himself surprised many when he revealed that his personal favorite was not one of those sentimental classics. Instead, he chose Barney's first car. The episode follows Barney Fife as he buys a used car from a sweet-talking elderly woman, only to discover it's a complete lemon. It's pure slapstick Don Knotts in his comedic prime, sputtering through mishaps, pratfalls, and frustration. Andy loved it for its timing, the physical humor, and the way it showcased Knotts at his very best. While fans often rank more emotional episodes at the top, Andy's choice reminds us that sometimes laughter matters more than legacy. For him, the joy of watching his friend shine in a perfect comedy performance outweighed all else. Why it shocks many expected Andy to choose a moving, heartfelt episode. Instead, he revealed his heart belonged to pure comedy, proof that even the show's guiding star valued fun above philosophy. Final thought. The magic of the Andy Griffith Show was never about perfection, it was about humanity. Behind the cozy front porches, Sunday dinners, and gentle lessons of Mayberry lived a cast of real people, talented, flawed, passionate, and complex. Their struggles and secrets don't weaken the show's legacy. Instead, they enrich it, reminding us that the comfort we found in Mayberry came from individuals who poured both their joys and their burdens into every scene. When we peel back the curtain, we don't lose Mayberry, we find it more real than ever. The laughter, the warmth, and even the imperfections are what made it timeless.